That joke might offend someone. You shouldn't use it. I know I was the one not looking in the mirror when I backed, but it's their fault that they crashed into me. Well, I think I should get a free car every year because I am me. There are just many things that I really hate about my own generation. I know that there's many good and bad things about each generation, but whenever I see some story pop up about some millennial who just did something incredibly stupid, I just can't help but shake my head and go like, why do I have to be a part of these people? This video is just pretty much just going to be about a collection of things I really hate about my own generation, just what I hate about them, why I think they need to change, and all that. So, it's probably going to be about 6 things or so total, so let's go ahead and get started because I have a lot to say about them. So, the first one I really hate about them is that they're just very self-entitled, because just everything about them is just always me, me, me. They just always think of themselves, which is ironic because they think that they're always going and thinking about others, trying to go and help all poor people or something like that, but in reality, they are usually putting themselves first. And that is just something that really bugs me. If they're a kid, or when we were kids, then I understand, because kids are brats at times. I was often selfish, but eventually I did grow out of it and know that I can't always come first. So, then there's also the fact that they think they deserve more than they get. For example, a lot of them like to get cars on their 16th birthday or something. I didn't get a car on my 16th birthday. If I remember correctly, I got, I think, Super Paper Mario. I'm pretty sure that's what I got. I'm not 100% sure. It was 9 years ago, so I really don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's what I got. And guess what? I was happy for it. I liked the game, so I wasn't really upset about it. It was a fun game. I was satisfied with the present. I didn't need a car. I mean, true, I couldn't drive at the time, but even if I did, I wouldn't have to go have my parents go and buy one like that. And I had to go and buy my own car. So it's just that I guess my parents just kind of taught me differently at that kind of part, but it just bugs me when, you know, all these people are saying that they should just get more than what they really need. If they just go and do this small task, they think they deserve much more. It's kind of like when a kid goes and they put their kid in some kind of tournament or something, and then they don't get first place, and they're like, well, he should still get a trophy just for attending it. I hate participation trophies. I think they're really, really stupid, because you're going to lose a lot in life. You're not always going to be a winner. And if you just go and keep getting a trophy or a sticker or a ribbon or whatever for every time that happens, you're never really going to learn on how to lose. Because if eventually a time does come when you don't get something, it's going to hurt twice as more. You're going to lose a lot in life, and by not getting those things, it will definitely help. You're not going to win every freaking time. You gotta learn that. So, I hate how self-entitled we are. I wish they would stop being that self-entitled when they at least grow up a little, but many of us are in our 20s or even 30s right now, and they haven't learned it yet, so kind of losing hope on that. They are way too sensitive. They just can't take any freaking jokes anymore. if you dare to make a joke about a gay person, or a black person, or a woman, or something like that, you are automatically offending that person. It's just a joke. I admit there are times when you go too far, but when you make a joke, somebody has to get hurt. That's the way it always works. Think about it. When you're watching a show, you're usually going to laugh at when someone gets hurt. Like if they're going and walking around and they step on something and it hits them in the face, that's a lot funnier. When it missed them, it wouldn't be as funny. That's how comedy works, people. You have to get hurt. If nothing like that happens, it won't be as funny. And that's what some of these people just don't get. They think you have to just not hurt anybody. That's the way for them a joke has to work. But if that happens, it pretty much loses everything it had to it. Then they also can't take criticism. If you dare to criticize anything that they've done, they freaking just cry about it. I've seen videos where people are just going and kind of getting criticized or something, and they pretty much looks like they're on the verge of tears, like they've just never been in this situation before, that they can't take it. I mean, you are going to get criticized a lot. I've gotten criticized both on the internet and real life. Sometimes I deserve it, sometimes I think I don't. But if I do deserve it, I kind of had to accept that. Criticism can really help you. It can help you on what you're bad at. For example, if someone says you're bad at math, like me, then you could go and try a little bit harder and possibly get better at it. And then maybe you won't. Sometimes you can try hard again and again and again and again, and you will never get better at it. That's just the way life works at times. That's what it is kind of like for me in math. I can try really hard at it, but I'm just kind of unteachable on some part of it. History, now that is really easy for me, but math, good luck trying to make me understand that. Then there's also punishing kids for them. If you go and dare try to spank them, you are automatically a child abuser. It doesn't matter if you give them all the love in the world. Besides that, if you go and just go like this, you should have your kids taken away from you. And it's no wonder why we still see a bunch of kids going and disobeying their parents, and a bunch of other stuff because, just not punishing them at all, that's really going to work. Just say, oh, don't do it again. That's really going to work. No, take their phone away from them. Send them to their room. Say, if you do this again, we're going to punish you even more. That's how you do these things. You just don't go and say, please don't do it again, okay? Please don't do it again. If you do that, they are just going to do it more and more and more, and you're just going to embarrass yourself, and your kid might not go and turn out to be a great adult. Not that you're a great adult if you're raising your kid that way, but maybe they can turn out to be better than you. So I hate how just some people go and punish their kids. I mean, don't get a belt. Don't do that. That is going too far, but just a light spanking and sending them to the room for the night or so, and then hopefully at the end of that they'll learn their lesson and they won't do it again. I got spankings. I turned out alright, and in the end I think it did discipline me for the best. They are way, way, way too liberal. This is probably by far one of the most liberal generations I've ever seen. I mean, the people from the 60s were pretty liberal, but to them, they are just on a whole new level. If they were to go back in time, or they were to go forward in time and meet each other, the hippies from the 60s would just back away and be like, whoa man, I mean, we have some beliefs, but you're going too far, man. That's what they would just really be like. They just... something that really bugs me is that they really, any opinions that are different from theirs, they really fucking hate. They will go after you and say, you are pretty much the worst freaking person. Just go in your face, say, Eee! All while claiming they're an open-minded person. And it just goes and blows my mind. I mean, yeah, there are different opinions that get on my nerves sometimes, but I'll try to stay as mature as I can and just go like, okay, you have your beliefs, I have mine, I don't completely agree with you, but okay. To me, that's what being open-minded is. You don't have to go and appreciate the billions of cultures that are there 100%. You don't have to go and accept same-sex marriage. As long as you respect our opinions and you might give that opinion a chance in the future, then you're an open-minded person. If you go and accept same-sex marriage, but you pretty much say that that person who opposes it is the worst person ever, that they need to change their opinion and you try to force it to them, you are the bigot. That's the way it works for me. You can go and like same-sex marriage all you want, but you are still the bigot for trying to go and force your opinions down their throat and not respecting theirs at all. And I also think just many of us are too accepting. Because I do accept same-sex marriage, but just we are way too accepting. I once saw a video where some guy was giving these interviews to young people and he was asking, what would you say if I said I identify as a 7-year-old? And they were like, well, I guess you can believe that, there's nothing wrong. And I'm just like, no! If I were a parent, I would grab my kid away from that person and never let them near him again. You don't go and let your child hang out with some adult who claims he's 7 years old. If they ever do that, report that person. And now some people are trying to go and say that you can marry animals or something like that. It's amazing. Shocking, they don't think that you should go and have a 40-year-old marry a 7-year-old, which is weird because there are some cultures that do that, so wouldn't that be an insult to their culture? Just hypocrisy. That's something that they are really big on. But I do think they are just way too accepting at some things and that they need to stop on some of that. They don't need to support every freaking new idea. Sometimes it might be wrong. Just don't do that anymore. They hate their own country. In the last couple years, or even more so in the last several months, you've probably seen a lot of college students going and burning the American flag because this country triggers them. They don't like the way some people get triggered. They don't like the fact that some people are going and voting for Trump. I don't like that people really voted for Hillary, but I'm not going and burning flags of her or anything. That would be just, in my opinion, going too far. Getting tongue-tied, but, while you are technically allowed to burn the flag, it's not against the law or anything. It shows really great disrespect to your country, in my opinion. You really shouldn't burn any flag, especially another country's. If you go and burn another country's flag, you're just automatically an asshole to me. And you also see them just not going in and singing the national anthem or any other national anthem, even though I would do the same. Even if I don't know the words to it, I'll go and stand up and just go like this and respect the other person's anthem. But you just have all these people hating their own country now. Ugh. And they say that pretty much all the problems in this country are made by white men and they are the ones that are causing the other problems of the world. That's not true at all, of course. And they really don't know any of their history. I'm always seeing these posts about just posting these false facts or something like that. I'm like, you did pay attention in class, did you? Ugh. And just, if you don't know the history of this country, you really shouldn't go and protest against anything, because if someone goes and asks you a question related to it, you might just go and stand there about 5 minutes going like, I don't know. So, just, I don't know why they hate their own country so much. It doesn't make sense to me. They hate challenges. They don't like when someone goes up to them and tries to give them a challenge, because it just gives them that feeling that they might lose, and that's something that usually doesn't happen to them a lot. So they go into their little red alarm alert and they get all offended, and they try to go and blame that person on something or call them racist and claim victory on it. They just don't like challenges because they rely on feelings rather than facts. Now, facts are just, sorry, they are usually better than feelings. They prove over something. Just because you feel something doesn't mean it is true, okay? You can just go and, you can still go and believe it if you want to, but just sometimes the facts are the ones that are a lot better. You always see a bunch of these people going into these debates and everything else, and they get destroyed, and they go like, well, just trying to come up with something to go and say, but they just get more and more and more destroyed because they were just never debated in life. Throughout all their lives, they were just giving a pat on the back. And I guess this is this is just because that some of their teachers had the same views as them, and they didn't really ever challenge them. And whenever two students with different policies went against each other, they went against the student with the other policies rather than the student with the same ones as them. So they're just not used to debates. They're used to it always going their way, and when they do lose, they don't take it very maturely. They act very childish, just like you've seen in this election. And of course, it's always someone else's fault. Whenever they go and do something wrong, it's not their fault, it's someone else's. Because there was this recent story where some students went and destroyed some Trump signs at Penn State. And they owed, I think, about $362 each. So, instead of paying for it, they go on Indiegogo or something, or Generosity, and they're asking money for it. I honestly couldn't believe that. And there were actually people donating. And they're actually going in and asking for more than they need so they can go and give it to Planned Parenthood. I think that should be illegal. They should pay their fines like any regular person. It should be shut down, and they should be fined even more for doing this. But last time I checked, it wasn't shut down. And I wrote an email to the site saying, no, you should take this down, and some other people did as well, but they haven't yet, and I will really hate it if these stupid students get away with it. Because stupid students like this always get away with these things. They think the 90s were the best decade ever, because all the cartoons from that decade were the best, even though some of them do flat out suck. I mean, there are a lot of cartoons I liked from that decade because I did grow up with them, but once I go back and watch some of them, they're just not as good as they used to be. I mean, if I went back and watched something like Cow and Chicken, I don't think I would like it as much as I did. The 90s weren't the best generation ever. They had some bad movies, bad video games, and bad events that went on in the world. They weren't as good as you remember. The only reason you remember them to be so good is because back then you didn't pay attention to the world, and when you're a kid, things just seem a lot better because the way you criticize things doesn't really work as well as when you're an adult. So it just works a lot differently. So the 90s they weren't that great. They had some really good moments, but like any generation, they had their pros and their cons, okay? The 90s are over. They've been over for almost 2 decades now. We need to move on. They're addicted to technology. I would be lying if I said I wasn't a part of this. I do like getting on YouTube a lot, like playing video games and things like that, but our generation is just too addicted to technology. I always hate it when I'm at work and doing my job, and whenever someone's pulling up in line and putting their things on the conveyor belt, they're just talking on their phone. I consider that pretty rude. You should, when you're up at that part, you should get off your phone and then just talk to the person. Now, if it's an emergency, that I can understand. I can understand things like that are related to it. But if you're just talking about a movie or something you saw, it's really rude. These days, you just always see people just tapping on their phones. Like, I remember just over the summer, there were people getting hit by cars because they were playing their game, playing Pokemon Go. That's how addicted we are. And they were also falling off cliffs and breaking their legs and whatever. That is how addicted we are. And nowadays, we're just, the main way people talk is either through texting or through Facebook and things like that. And it just always bugs me when a bunch of people are at a table and instead of talking to each other, they're on their phones. What is happening? Because when I'm with my friends, I would rather just actually talk to them. Maybe talk to them about something that happened when we were kids, or maybe something that's coming up, or something like that. I don't want to be on a phone all the time. It does get kind of boring. And we just need to talk face to face a lot more. And something like this, it's kind of something that's affecting relationships. We now see that people are not going out in public and trying to get dates as much anymore. They now go on the internet, and even when they do get a date, they're going on their phone. It just really freaking bugs me. Jeez. So that's really all I can think of about things that I don't like about my own generation. Just we're too sensitive. We don't like any kind of jokes. You can't go and say someone is fat, because if you do, you're fat phobic. Even if you're a doctor and you're just trying to help that person, and then that person saying they know more about their body than that doctor does. Okay, just way too accepting, way too left wing. Just many problems with it. I kind of hope Generation X, or not Generation X, Generation Z is a little bit better, but they're probably going to go the same route as we are with the way the media treats it, and with the way the professors are treating it, and with the way these new types of parents are treating it. But I'm going to treat my kids differently. I'm going to teach them to be smart people. I'm going to teach them to go and take challenges. Whenever they do something stupid, I'll punish them for it. Not too much, but as much as they need. I hope my kids turn out to be just much better people than the rest of the people that are around their time. So, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day, and take care.